Welcome to the Strategies for Success Online Summit 2015. I am so excited. Let me introduce myself. I am your host, Gina Battye. To celebrate the launch of my new course, which is called Discover Your Direction, I decided to reach out to 7 experts from around the world to have conversations about the things that keep you up at night. So listen, I'm not here to live by half measures, and I know that you don't want to either. For all you persistent, determined, strong, and confident women out there, I know you will resonate with this, and this summit is for you. Let's get straight to it. If you're unsure where you're heading and you're looking for guidance on how to figure that out, and if you want to figure out why you're here and your purpose in life, and you want to know how to wrap the things that you're passionate about around your vision and your purpose, and you want to get your hands on strategies to keep you focused and to feel fulfilled, this is where you need to be. Look at me. I used to be a UK size 16, which is a US size 12. I turned my life around by focusing on 3 areas. The first was mastering my body. The second was mastering my self-belief and my mindset. And the third was mastering my mission and purpose in life. As you can see, I've gone through quite a transformation, not only physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually too. My work focuses around personal mastery, specifically focusing on those 3 areas: body mastery, self-belief mastery, and mission and purpose in life. I work with strong and confident women, where I'm a high-performance personal mastery coach, best-selling author, and one of the UK's leading public speakers. So what is personal mastery? Personal mastery is about being persistent in effort and stubbornly tenacious in attitude. It's not about being perfect every day. As I said, it's about being persistent and stubbornly tenacious. It's about being focused and determined and believing in yourself and believing that anything that you dream about, you can make happen. I am so excited to bring you 8 mastery experts from around the world, and they will all be under your roof. I'm bringing to you strong and confident people who work every day to master themselves and their craft. They know to their very core that personal mastery isn't a one-time investment, a quick fix, or a short-term goal. They know it is a lifelong investment. If you're truly working on personal mastery, is there ever a finishing line to that? My answer would be no, there's never a finishing line to it. There may be pauses where things are going great and you demonstrate that you're skillful at mastering situations and events in your life. If you go back and reflect on your life, even the most strong and confident people feel like they're getting kicked in the gut and are challenged to get back up at certain points in time. And at those points, it requires new skills to master that moment, that new kind of moment that you're experiencing. In my experience, it takes a minimum of 3 months for you to be able to take something new, be it a new skill, a new technique, or a new strategy, and to put it into place and start to see some changes. These new skills, techniques, and strategies are exactly what we're going to tackle in my new course, Discover Your Direction. More about that later on. The aim of the summit is to pull back the curtains on personal mastery and explore life-changing teachings that will set you up for success. So who will you hear from? I am talking to Michelle Cameron Coulter, Olympic gold medalist, about discovering your passion. I'm talking to Glenn Morshower, one of the busiest character actors in Hollywood. We're talking about alignment and intuition. I'm talking to Sharon Lecter, the genius behind the Rich Dad brand and currently partnered with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. We're talking about vision and living a life of significance and success. I'm talking to Dr. Bill Dorfman, celebrity dentist and New York Times best-selling author. We're talking about goal setting, masterminding, and leadership. I'm talking to Ros Savage, MBE, who holds 4 world records for ocean rowing and is the first woman to row solo across 3 oceans. We're talking about courage and collective consciousness. I'm talking to Eric Swanson, award-winning speaker and success coach, about productivity and habits for success. And last, but certainly not least, I am talking to Dr. Gina Battye, best-selling author of numerous books, law of attraction expert, and featured in the movie The Secret. We're talking about overcoming procrastination. There's a special bonus for you too. To celebrate the launch of my new course, Discover Your Direction, I'll be hosting a live webinar. We'll be talking about discovering your direction and explore the key learnings from the summit. Be sure to check in with all the conversations. You will learn something from every single one, I promise you. It is my mission to invite people around the world to step into their power. I offer you that invitation now to step up and realise your full potential. I invite you into our world, into our lives, where you'll hear from 8 mastery experts. What we have to share with you will start you on your journey to realising your full potential. Ask yourself, here and now, are you all in? If you are, let's go. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Strategies for Success Summit. I put together this summit to celebrate the launch of my new course, which is called Discover Your Direction. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about my course later on. Throughout the summit, I interview 7 experts from around the world where we have conversations about mastery and vision and habits for success. My name's Gina and I'm your host. My work focuses around personal mastery, specifically focusing on body mastery, self-belief mastery, and your mission and purpose. Now, if you take a look at me, I used to be a UK size 16, which is a US size 12. You can clearly see I'm no longer that size. I really took myself through a process of really taking control of my body, and as I said, my self-belief and my mission and purpose in life. So what is personal mastery? Personal mastery is about being persistent in effort and stubbornly tenacious in attitude. It's about being focused and determined, and it's about knowing where you're headed and taking steps every day to get there. It's not about being perfect. It's about believing in yourself and believing that anything that you dream about, you can make happen. So listen, we're inviting you into our world and into our lives. We want to show you that you can have a purpose and a vision and fuse that with what you're really passionate about. For all you persistent, determined, strong, and confident women out there, I know you will resonate with this and with my guests today. I am so thrilled to have Glenn Morshower with us here today. Hi, Glenn. Give us a wave.
Hi, Gina. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Fabulous. Listen, Glenn, let me officially introduce you so people know who you are, and I'm sure they'll know who you are instantly as soon as we get talking. Glenn is one of the busiest character actors in Hollywood today. He's appeared in over 200 film and television projects in a career spanning 4 decades. Now, his first appearance was in the feature film Drive-In in 1975. I'm so going to have to Google that. I want to see your first performance. Audiences worldwide know Glenn best for his 7-year run as Agent Aaron Pierce on the Fox hit series 24. He's currently filming the TV series Supergirl, where Glenn is playing a character called General Sam Lane, and that will be aired pretty soon. I think, did you say it's just gone live in the US, Glenn?
Yes, it premiered here just over 2 weeks ago and should be in the UK fairly soon.
So we'll all be looking out for that. Supergirl. I'm trying not to imagine you in a Supergirl outfit, actually. I'm trying really hard.
Yeah, they haven't put me in the cape yet.
Not yet. It will come.
There's always hope.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Glenn was most recently seen on the big screen in Moneyball with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill, as well as all 3 of the Transformer movies as General Morshower. And I know my mum absolutely adores you in those Transformer movies. He also appeared this past summer in After Earth with Will Smith and Parkland with Billy Bob Thornton. Other film credits include X-Men First Class, Men Who Stare...
Which we shot in the UK.
Indeed. Whereabouts was that, Glenn?
We shot it at Pinewood in London.
Oh, okay. So not Yorkshire.
No, not Yorkshire.
Yorkshire.
I'll have that dialect down sooner than you think.
You will. As we go through this interview, Glenn is actually learning the dialect that I'm speaking.
And then hopefully by the time we're done, I can figure out a way to have you sound like this. Because I'm sitting here at my house in Texas, and that's the way we sound down here. In fact, everybody in my family sounds exactly like this, except my mother, whose voice is a little deeper than this.
That's fabulous. And can I say you don't sound like that until you do the accent?
No, not on my own, but that is how everyone in this area sounds.
I love it. So let me run you through some other film credits. If you haven't heard of Glenn in all of those: Men Who Stare at Goats, All the Goods Men, sorry, All the King's Men,
Correct.
Good Night and Good Luck, The Island, Hostage, Black Hawk Down, Pearl Harbor.
My favorite film, by the way, Black Hawk Down.
Was it?
It was.
For what
Well,
reason?
it was directed by the great Ridley Scott, and we shot the whole thing in Morocco. But you consider yourself blessed if you've ever had the privilege of working with Ridley Scott, because he is as fine a director as has ever lived, frankly. What an honor.
Wow. So you're waiting for the phone call?
Oh, yeah. Ridley can call anytime. The answer is yes.
Indeed. So we've got some other big name films. We've got Godzilla, we've got Air Force One, we've got The River Wild, and Star Trek Generations. Listen, if you haven't seen Glenn on your big screen or the TV, I'll be very, very surprised. But what you might not know about Glenn is he's travelled extensively as a motivational speaker. His program, The Extra Mile, teaches people how to embrace and express the fullness of their light. And I'm super excited to talk to you more about The Extra Mile in a little while, Glenn.
You bet.
Hold on to that thought. It is such an honour and a privilege to have you here with us. I'd love to talk to you about alignment and intuition and the whisper. But before we delve into that, tell us a little bit about you. Give us your backstory.
Well, as I said, I'm sitting here in our home. My wife and I, Carolyn, have a beautiful home here in Dallas, right in the heart of the city, which is also our collective birthplace. We both grew up here. Carolyn was my high school sweetheart, and I started training at the Dallas Theater Center. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's true. We actually met one another when we were 7. I'm a year and a half older than she is, or as you would say in Yorkshire, a year and a half, right? But I'm a year and a half older than she is, and when I was 7, about 7 and a half, she had just turned 6, and we moved into the neighborhood. And we got to know each other as friends, and then we moved away when I was 8 to the far side of Dallas, the north side, and I had no contact with her for 9 years. And this leads into the whisper, which we can get more into later, but it's important that I say this because I started receiving whispers. And when I say whisper, I just mean an inner nudge of awareness. When I was 14, that's specifically when life changed for me in a way where I felt like I was dialed into a broadcast that was global. I never felt like I was chosen, but that I was hearing a frequency that was broadcast to everyone. But I would equate hearing the whisper to dog listening. You know how a dog will hear a siren long before a human does?
Yeah.
Well, humans have dog listening. There's no question about it. Everyone does. And the only difference from one human to the next is how much rubble that dog listening is buried underneath. Okay. So when we make a deliberate effort to clear the rubble away and purify ourselves from all toxicities that are impeding our ability to hear these beautiful transmissions of the cosmos, then you hear amazing things. And there is no maybe to it. Everyone I've given the proper set of instructions for hearing whispers and what is required. This is what their inevitable outcome is that life changes for them. So by the time I was 17, I'd really been trusting things like whispers and dreams. And I had a whisper, and the whisper said, call Carolyn. And I want to be real clear for anyone who's listening to me right now that I'm not referring to an audible voice. I'm not saying that it was set to a John Williams backdrop of music, but it was simply a knowingness, and the knowingness was one of call Carolyn. It never said, your attention, Glenn, your instructions at this time are to call Carolyn. That's not how it went. It was just a knowing, but here's what I want to be real clear about. It was a profound knowing. Okay. It wasn't something that was subtle. It came in like a freight train, and it got my attention. And because I have a rehearsed relationship with whispers, I went, oh, that's a whisper. Wow. And I knew what Carolyn it meant. I knew a couple of Carolyns at that time, but this was not a random Carolyn whisper. This meant that girl that you used to live 2 doors down from when you were a kid. Wow. And I went immediately to the phone book and looked up her dad's name. I still remember her dad's name, and called that number, and I did it immediately. This is another thing about whispers, is quite often they are time sensitive. And then we'll get more into whispers, but that's a huge part of me. And you said you wanted to talk a little background of me. So I set out on this path to really honor that. Well, what I did is from the moment I received that whisper until I made that phone call was about 2 minutes. And
Seriously,
I want you to know,
2 minutes.
and I want you to know that that 2-minute decision changed my life, my entire life. Because when she answered, and she actually was the one that answered the phone, and I identified myself, it turned out that only a few weeks prior to that phone call, she had actually been looking for me.
Wow.
Which is something that gives you chicken skin to realize that two people had been separated for 9 years, and now both parties are looking for the other unbeknownst to the other one.
Wow.
And she didn't know that I still lived in Dallas, and invited me to come see her. She said, you know, I'd love it if we could get together sometime. And I said to her, the smartest thing I've ever said to anyone, I said, the earliest I could do that would be immediately.
Oh.
And I went out and got in my car and drove over to her house. And when I saw her, there was something different. Well, clearly there was something different, because what my soul understood, and again, I'm talking about at the level of soul.
Yeah.
It may not have had anything to do with my brain. But what my soul understood in that moment is that I was staring at my wife. Because 2 years later, we married. Cut to 2015. That, by the way, we just celebrated our 39th anniversary of that phone call.
Wow.
Not of our marriage, but of that phone call. That phone call was November the 8th, 1976. And November the 8th was just a couple of days ago.
Indeed.
So we are sitting at 39 years since I made that life-changing phone call.
Crikey.
And because of that phone call, we've had 37 years of marriage, 2 years of dating, and 2 beautiful children who are now grown and doing well in the world. That voice has led me through every aspect of my life. It has kept me safe. It has spared me of very dangerous circumstances. It has saved my life, not once, but 3 times.
Wow. Actually
saved my life, where had I ignored a whisper, I wouldn't be here. We would not be doing this interview on 3 different occasions if I had ignored those instructions that were whispered unto me. I wouldn't be here. So I've trusted these with regard to health, with regard to relationships, with regard certainly to career. And because I make my living as an actor, I'll promise you, although I certainly esteem myself to be someone who has talent, but then again, you better have if you're going to pack your bags and move to Hollywood.
Yeah.
But so do a lot of people, Gina.
Yes.
And a lot of those people are unemployed. So the question becomes, what's the difference? And the difference is total trust of instincts. So that when I'm in the room, I'm not only reading and prepared to read well, but I'm actually trusting whatever instinct is in me that is telling me, do it. Whatever the it is, do it. And then following those instructions. So that's really who I am, as I'm a whisper truster. I trust intuition to the nth degree. And I saw a play when I was 11 years old, a production at the Dallas Theater Center of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And I was so moved by it that I asked my mother if I could take classes there at that theater. And my mom said, of course, and enrolled me immediately. And that's how I set on course to be an actor on stage. And then at age 16, Drive-In came and changed my life. And as they say, the rest is history, because that movie, after I graduated high school, pole vaulted me directly into the epicenter of Hollywood. When I was 18 years old, that's when I moved out there. And we've lived in LA ever since. And then 3 years ago, we bought a second home here in Dallas, and we travel back and forth between LA and Dallas. That's the whole package right there.
Wow. I find that fascinating that, you know, you are a master at what you do.
Thank you, sweet.
And
by the way, we use terms like sweet, sugar, and honey.
That's Texan.
So if I say thanks, honey, please take no offense. That's a Texan expressing love and warmth.
I've got it. Don't worry. I've got it.
I'm sure you guys have some British expressions that I can be familiar with. My 2 favorite are lovely And I love this one, brilliant.
Brilliant.
They love to say brilliant. Or even this one, you'll love this one, ledge.
Ledge.
For legendary.
Oh, okay. Legend.
The slang version I heard on set a lot was people go, oh, that was so ledge.
I use fantastic a lot. That works for me.
Yes.
Fantastic. So let's go into intuition, because
Sure.
we've talked, all of your career and all of your life pretty much is guided by intuition.
Indeed.
And like you said, we're being gently guided every day. Whether you choose to tune into it and to listen to it is down to you.
Sure.
Now, I've noticed that as we grow older and take on more and more responsibilities, and as I work with clients, they say to me that when they were younger, they followed their intuition all the way. Nothing got in the way to it.
Right.
Whereas life gets busy, doesn't it? We get more and more responsibilities, and many people tend to tune out from their guidance and their intuition and the whisper.
Yes.
Now, I'm fascinated to know, okay, so you got to 16, you were catapulted into this fantastic career.
Mm-hmm.
There must have been lots of different things going on, lots of different people, lots of different new experiences for you.
Yes.
How did you manage to keep hold of that and to continue to listen to the whispers and your intuition?
Well, I will say this unashamedly, and it wouldn't be really a true interview with me if I didn't talk about this topic, because it's meant so much to me my whole life. I am a true believer in God, but not, I want to be real clear about this, not in the traditional sense. In fact, so much so that if there is a literal heaven, I hope there's a partition there so that I can be on the side of heaven where you retain your sense of humor.
I like that.
There are a lot of people who are convinced that they are heaven bound, and they love to announce everybody that they have a 50-yard line seat in heaven based on their beliefs. And I find myself not wanting to be around those people here on this earth. So then when I start imagining eternity with them, that's a scary thought to me. So I'm hoping there's a wall in heaven, and it's split in half, and I'm with the fun bunch that knew how to have a good time. What on earth was your question, Gina?
I knew you were going to say that. I so knew you were
Oh, about intuition.
How did you manage to stay connected to it and follow those whispers, even with all that exciting stuff going on?
Right. Well, because with my faith in God, which was simply a true power, not something I was ever afraid of, not something I thought I had to follow a set of rules and regs to, but something that I had an active relationship with that was solely based on a force that designed me, and I want to and insist on. So it's more than just a desire. And I want to clarify, there is desire, and then there is insistence. Okay. And when you come from insistence, that's when you'll do something about it. People will only take action on what they insist of themselves of or for. Versus just having a desire. People ignore their desires all the time.
Absolutely.
Once they reach a level of insistence, it'll be different. So what I insisted on of myself was that I really walk hand in hand with whatever it is that wanted me here. Okay. Whatever it is. I don't care if you call it God. I don't care if you call it big boo-boo. Whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. Because if it's as enormous as I believe it is, it's not concerned with what we label it. Okay. That would be a human trait because of human insecurity. But I've always trusted this to the nth degree. I've always also had a mission statement, and I haven't drifted away from your original question. This is all dialing back.
I'm trusting.
I have had a mission statement, and I also believe that mission statements are enormously important, because if you think about it, if you don't have a mission statement for the entirety of your life, that is exactly like being an airline that doesn't know where it flies.
Absolutely.
I mean, can you imagine going to gate 27 at Heathrow and it's an airline called Hey Anywhere Airlines, and you go in and you go, okay, I'd like to go to Honolulu. I don't see the destination point. Where are you guys going? And they go, I don't know.
Wherever.
Well, you wouldn't board because you've got a destination in mind.
Yeah.
And so many people are operating destinationless in this lifetime. So here is my mission statement. Between now and death, whenever that may be, on my dying day, the day that I graduate from Earth School and I leave this earth plane that you and I have gotten to know each other on, when I leave here, I want it to be able to be said about my life in retrospect by God primarily, but certainly by others as well, my own wife, my own children. I want it to be able to be said that no one could have inhabited this body and done more with it than I did. Mm. It's a beautiful mission statement. And I'm not talking about just the physical body. Mm. I'm talking about what you did with the sack of skin that you were issued, what you allowed it to enjoy, what you allowed it to experience, how you allowed it to benefit others. Mm. And so I'm deeply committed to that. Well, when you make that level of commitment, intuition immediately rises to the surface. Because basically, if I can now vocalize the voice of intuition, if I may give it voice, what it says is, ooh, we have a player. We can work with you. You're our favorite type. That's what happens. And I wasn't doing that as a bit. I'm saying that intuition gets very excited about willing receptors. We can call these antennas. When someone says, I am up for hearing and acting upon the intuitions that I receive, which means you're not only an intuition hearer, you are an intuition follower. Okay. Which is a much higher level of dedication.
Definitely.
It loves it. And what ensues, and this is the perfect word for it, what ensues is a dance. It's a dance where you are in this, albeit taking place on earth, you are in an absolute intuition dance, or in a dance with intuition. Intuition becomes your friend, and more specifically, it becomes your partner. And it follows, and you follow, and it follows, and you take turns leading and following, like any good dance. And that becomes life-changing. So to me, when I would go in these rooms, once I got to Hollywood and would read for roles, I was so dialed into things that meant far more to me than whether or not I booked that job.
Yeah.
And so that job was probably maybe 10th on the list of things that were a priority to me. And what does that do? Here's the benefit of that. That immediately erases all forms of neediness. It also erases all forms of panic. There's no panic. And panic is replaced when you are a whisper and intuition follower by trust. And here's what's beautiful. I'm trusting right now because I'm not reading a script. Nor have you and I rehearsed what specific questions you're going to ask. Absolutely. And I don't want to know. I don't need to know, because I'm only here to spill the truth out, and the truth never needs to be rehearsed. That's the beauty. Absolutely. Someone who is inauthentic, someone who tells a lot of lies, they need tremendous rehearsal, one, and they also need tremendous memories, because they've got to remember who they told what lie to when.
Absolutely.
It's very, very stressful to be a liar.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where that came from. And I just trust it to the nth degree. And that's the reason I become a working actor. Here's the real truth though. I could have done anything. And as long as I were a whisper and an inspiration follower, I would have done well in it. That's not ego. That is the guarantee of intuition following. I could have been a plumber. I would have been a masterful plumber.
Absolutely.
I could have chosen to be a professional skier. And that's the life I would have had. It really wouldn't have mattered. It just so happens that I chose acting because I love artistic expression. And most of all, I wanted, since I was a little boy, to be an impactful presence. Now, maybe at age 6, I didn't know the term impactful presence, but I knew that I wanted to make people feel something.
Of course.
And so audiences, when they watch actors, they are feeling. And you know what? That's our job, to make them feel, because they paid money to see us. And frankly, it's the ultimate compliment to think about this. They stopped what they were doing to watch us.
Absolutely.
Well, if you're going to stop what you're doing to come over and sit down in front of the television set or go into a movie theater, then it's not an option. It's a responsibility. I have a responsibility to make good on that promise that I will make you having stopped worth your while. And this is what I talked about in my class last night. I teach acting here in Dallas. And I said, the primary thing that will give you a career is presence. There's nothing more important. Talent we'll get to, but talent is about fourth or fifth down the line. Presence. And where presence comes from is knowing who you are and then be it, right? Stepping fully into that so that when you occupy the stage, wonderful things should already be going on energetically before you ever even open your mouth.
Definitely.
You take the stage and people are like, what? Like something's happening. And what they're reacting to is they're reacting to an entity that is not at war with itself. I read a book when I was 18 years old called The Knee, spelled Knee, of listening, written by a man named Bubba Freejohn, and that was his surname. Franklin Jones was his birth name. And I think you would look it up by Franklin Jones if anyone wanted to get the book, and it's available online. Okay. But one line of dialogue out of that book changed my life. And you may have heard me say this at some of Craig Duswalt's events. And that line is this: I am now no longer disposed to be in conflict with myself.
Wow. How
beautiful. And I thought, wow, it's so true that most of the conflict we experience is self-generated, right? We put obstacles in our own way.
We do. Why do we do that?
Right. So what happens? What if I have one decision to make only? Now, we have many to make, but let's just say one. Well, here's a great one. I'm going to decide that from this point forward, that I am not going to ever again be my own enemy. I'm not going to do that because there are so many people on the planet who are gladly willing to take action on that for you, meaning they'll be happy to be your enemy.
Absolutely.
I mean, and there are a lot of people who don't have an active relationship with their conscience, who don't care about whatever personal injury they cause you. So any of you people who are blind to that presence in life, it's probably time to wake up and remember that not everybody in the world intends for you to do well. Not everyone has your highest available good in mind. That is not a priority for them. But if I at least take myself off of the list of people in the world who are there to injure me, then I'm probably going to have a really terrific life. And that happened for me at 18, and the result at 56 has been exactly what my intuition suspected it would be.
Wait.
When I was 18.
You're not 56.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Nah, you're having us on. This is one of them.
Here, maybe this will help.
Oh, yeah, I can see it now. You're funny.
Actually, the top of my head just celebrated its 89th birthday.
Did it?
So.
Well, happy birthday.
But I don't even feel 56. That's the beauty. And what is that? I want to take you on a tangent. It'll be very brief, but only because it's recent and it came up in conversation between my wife and I.
Okay.
I was in prayer in my car. My car is my church. It's my synagogue. It's my mosque. It's my ashram. You see, I don't even have the need to call it church because it just labels. Who cares? You could have the greatest spiritual awareness of your life on a toilet. I mean that.
I know you do.
You might not be in a church when that happened. You might not be staring up at beautiful stained glass. You might be reading the newspaper and sitting on the john. And all of a sudden, bam, an epiphany comes. And the reason that can happen is once your mind and heart are wide open enough to know that miracles occur literally anywhere. So while I was in my car church, I'm driving and I'm headed to my studio here in Dallas. This was on Monday, 3 days ago. And I started thinking about the things we cosign And I decided that I'm going to begin talking about this at events. And what I mean by cosign is that we agree to, right? When you cosign something. So there are so many things that are decided by race consciousness, meaning the consciousness of the human race, that, well, that's just the way it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lines like, it's too good to be true. That's a classic example of race consciousness.
Yeah.
Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all, which is why I don't co-sign that idea. I do not agree to that. And it occurred to me, what if, so play ball with me here.
Yeah.
What if we actually co-sign way more than we think? What if we've all co-signed even the concept of lifespan?
Ooh.
What if we've actually co-signed that? What if there's no truth to it at all? But because graveyards are filled with souls that reached a certain earthly age that seems to be averaged out at about whatever, then we have accepted that mentally in advance early on in life, that we live about X number of years and then we die.
Absolutely.
I think that that's a very dangerous thing to co-sign. And I think you can cancel that contract and actually decide, and I'm not suggesting that you implement a thought that you're going to make it to 150. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm saying is, I'm just not going to co-sign what everybody else agrees to.
Yeah.
And there's a reason. If you have a slew of questions, please go ahead and I'll just shush and answer them one at a time. But if you don't, I'd like to spend a couple more minutes on this co-signing idea, if I may.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay.
I know all our followers will be hugely interested, so please.
Okay, so beautiful. So what if it was intended for your life and what was available to you were 125 really good years? Really good. So not 95 and then the last 30 were miserable and you were unhealthy and you were hooked up to tubes and couldn't see anybody anymore or whatever. What if that were available to you, but you had made the mistake of agreeing with the human race and co-signed that you're out of here at a specific age? Now notice, I've yet to mention that age. Do you know why I haven't mentioned that age?
Go on.
Because I don't want it in this computer.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Because that would be a form of mental co-signing. And what I'm about to tell you is 100% true. It has not been changed. It certainly has not been embellished for the viewer. It's the God's honest truth. And I think it was intended to happen for me to learn a lesson about co-signing when I was a very young man.
Okay.
When I was a little boy, my grandfather, we spent a lot of time around him, and my grandfather used to complain about taxes, and specifically the Social Security system. Now, I don't know how it is in the UK, and pardon my ignorance, but here in the States, Social Security is a big part of, our paychecks. Social Security steps in and takes X number of dollars out of all workers' checks, and they do it. And then when you get 65, that's retirement age, and you can get Social Security benefits and whatnot. But my grandfather despised paying into that system. And so he told us, I don't know why he felt the need to vent this to us as young boys, my brother Brian and myself, but he used to tell us, and I'm going to channel my grandfather right now because he had a thick...
He's going to have an accent.
And he had a thick one. And here's what he said. He goes, boys, you watch. He goes, this Social Security stuff, this is nonsense. This is garbage. And I had been working my butt off my whole life, paying into it, and you watch. I won't even live to collect on it, which means I'm just giving my money away. You watch. You watch. And he kept saying to us for years, you watch. I won't be able to collect a dime. Again, Gina, so help me God, the age you are eligible to collect Social Security benefits in this country, here in the U.S., is at 62.5 years.
Okay.
62 and a half years of age, you're eligible. Or at least that's what it was back then. And I think that's still true today. But I'm now going back to 1977.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And on October 26th, 1977, my grandfather dropped dead on his 62 and a half birthday to the day.
No way.
To the day.
Crikey.
He lived to be exactly 62.5 years. And I thought, you know what? While it's sad, what I later understood, not on the date of his death in 1977, but over time as I processed that message, I thought, you know what? Grandpa sacrificed his life unintentionally, because he certainly wasn't trying to die. He wasn't planning that, but he dangerously made the mistake of inserting that into the computer. You watch, you watch, you watch. And he kept saying that. And life tends to agree with the things we talk about a lot. There's a saying that if you tell it, you swell it. This is where intuition comes in.
Yeah.
You know? So he kept trusting that he would never live to collect a dime off of Social Security, and life simply went,
that's okay. It. Gone.
Okay, if that's what you have decided is so. So my point is this. I think we can decide not necessarily to be older, but just not to agree with the way it is in the world. And we were taught not to buy into things like math. We were taught it at birth. You've heard me say this on stage.
Yeah.
That we outswam 600 million other sperm to get here in the first place. That's how it all started. So here would be my point to all of you who are listening. Why haven't we spent more time thinking about that? That the very first act we performed on planet Earth was that gold medalist swimmer. That we got here by defying huge math. Huge. I mean, 600 million.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So if you ever go to a job interview and they've got 30 other candidates that are sitting there, you understand that you should view that as meaningless?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's 30. Or if you look in the membership of the Screen Actors Guild, approximately 150,000 people. That is nothing to me. It's nothing. And then God whispers in and says, hey, in case the 600,000 wasn't enough for me to get your attention, look what I did for you again at age 16.
Yeah.
I gave you the lead in a movie, the lead, and it wasn't an indie film. It was a major studio film, and they spent a lot of money trusting you to carry their film, and you had never even been in a movie. Did that maybe get your attention, Glenn, that you're on a different path? And then what did I do? I gave you a whisper when you were 18, and you acted on it, and you picked up a phone and you called a woman who you saw about 10 minutes later. You married her 2 years later, and everybody, Gina, not most, everybody said, don't.
Yeah.
Everybody said, you're too young, don't do it, it will fail. We ignored all of them and trusted the truth. And so here we are. And it isn't because we were lucky.
Yeah.
We've hit speed bumps like any long-term couple would. But when we crashed into those, we looked at each other, and here was the game-changing difference making a line. We looked at each other and we said, it's not about what you want. It's about what you want most. Wow. So what do you want most, honey? And the answer is, I want you, and I want us. I want our family. There's so many other things that we could say yes to, but they are not what I want most. They are appetite of the month, right? Yeah. Choice of the month. It's option I could take, but do I want to trade? No, I don't. So we say yes to the things we want most. And I think we were misled in the 70s when they said, it's about what you want, man. You got to meet your needs, man. Here, have some reefer and think about your needs. And I think that gets us into trouble, because if we're saying yes every single time we want something, the inevitability is that we will crash into wants that conflict directly with that which we want most, right? And at that point, whatever it is we wanted, it has to take a back seat, or we are disobeying the line from the knee of listening that says, I am now no longer disposed to be in conflict with myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore. So then you list the things you want most from your life. And then your energy is placed behind those things and only those things. And on this thing about projecting for a longer life, what happens if you're wrong? What have you lost? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Right? So if Carolyn and I both croak younger than this belief system might have allowed, nobody's going to say, well, we just want to be real sure to point out how wrong he was about that. I would rather err on the side that if more was available to me, I didn't cancel it out with my thoughts.
Yeah. Your thoughts
No
are
great
hugely
gold medalist.
powerful.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Your thoughts are hugely powerful. You demonstrated that with the illustration of your granddad, you know?
Right. And no gold medalist swimmer or diver has ever left the platform and right before they went off the platform, looked out at the water and the crowd and then immediately said, well, this is going to suck. They don't do that because they understand the importance of alignment with outcome.
Absolutely.
So you have to get clear on an idea, which is your destination, your target, if you will.
Yeah.
And then get behind it with thought that supports reaching that. You give up words like, and this is key, hope, wish, and want. Give those up because I'll promise you in pro football, and you guys have football there, which we call soccer over here, you don't want your players out there going, well, we hope we win, right? Because there's not enough power in that.
No,
I'm not going to move to Hollywood and sit in my house and go, well, I hope I do well as an actor. There's no power behind that. So you have to move into inevitability consciousness where you see it as your inevitable right. I prepared. I know what I'm doing. I've got craft. I've got game. And I've got beliefs that are rooted in me having outswam 600 million sperm. And therefore, instead of the victim voice of, why not me? Why not me? You can take those same three words and give them a different tonality where they become a winning affirmation. And it sounds like this. Why not me? Same three words, but tonality is a crippler. Absolutely. So if you're saying, why not me? That's so unfair. The world is so unfair. Why not me? And just shift that whining tone because whiners aren't winners. They're spelled similarly, but they are
very different.
Vastly different. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to answer questions now. But
it's fun. I'm loving hearing your thoughts. It's fabulous.
Okay, well, you led me into something that just turned into a snowball.
That's cool. I like that.
And you've heard me speak. That's the way I speak on stage.
Yeah, it's
I
fabulous.
take off on an idea, and that idea opens up. It's exactly like a computer where you go to one website and then several other windows are open until it explodes and says you have too many windows open.
Yeah, you're like, shut them down.
Right. So that's what's coming next. We're a couple of moments away from my brain going,
I have got one thing that that came into my mind earlier.
Sure.
You mentioned about 3 instances where you didn't listen to your intuition and they were very significant.
No, where I did listen. And they saved my life. Or are you thinking of something else?
Yes, that where they saved your life, that. Right. So talk us through one of those, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes.
Would that be
okay?
I
love that you were smart enough to say through one of those. Please. Yeah. Because if it were 3, we might be here for another 3 hours.
No. I'm sure.
It happened on December the 5th of 2001.
Okay.
And wow. Which one do I want to tell, honey? That one or the fat burger one? You know what? I'm going to tell you 2, but I'll just put them in cliff notes. I'll condense them.
Okay.
So on December 5th, 2001, I was in a car with my son driving up to Seattle from Los Angeles. And we were just crossing over the Oregon border. And there are some mountains there called the Siskiyou Mountains. And the weather was really bad. And I thought, you know what, we need to get off the road. And it had begun to snow, but the roads were still clear on the south side of the mountain. We got up to the north side, and just as we came over the top of the mountain, I was doing 8 miles per hour. So I was crawling. I mean, I was not driving recklessly. I was being so cautious. And then I realized the north side of the mountain had received a whole different dynamic weather pattern, and the winds had caused the highway to freeze. And I'm now on a downslope. And we started sliding, and we couldn't stop. And I had no control of the car at all. And I'm watching the speedometer as we are increasing now to 15, now 20, now 25 and 40 and 45 and climbing. And we're going to be in a wreck. It's real clear because I have zero control. Turning the wheel makes no difference. We're sliding down ice. My son's in the front seat. I woke him up and said, immediately when I lost control of the car, I said, Greg, are you buckled? Yes. Well, to speed the story along, we slid, Gina, for a full minute, which, by the way, is an eternity.
I can imagine. Wow. To
be out of control until we saw about 100 yards further ahead of us on the right, because we were beginning to drift toward the right side of the highway. And this is Interstate 5, so it is a big, big, well-known freeway on the west coast of the United States. And we saw that we were headed right toward where this was going to end, which was up the back end of a huge truck. An 18-wheel truck, which I hit doing 53 miles per hour. Because right before impact, I looked at the speedometer. I don't know why, but it's just something I did to note the speed that we were traveling at.
Wow.
And obviously we're still here, but here's where the whisper came in. We crashed. I was still conscious. I remember conducting a toe and finger check, but the first words out of my mouth were, Greg, are you okay? My son was 22 at the time. And he said, Dad, I'm okay. Are you okay? I said, I'm okay. And I felt really messed up. I felt very dizzied. And he said, Dad, are you sure you're okay? You're bleeding really badly. And I felt the blood coming down. It was all on my face and neck. But something in me whispered, and it was profound. And it whispered, you need to get out of the car immediately. And it was about 18 degrees outside. So it was cold. I don't know what that is in centigrade, but cold. It's well below freezing in in the Fahrenheit scale. And we got out of the car and had the most beautiful hug we've ever had. And we're a very affectionate family. I mean, I hug and kiss my kids regularly. Please do that. If you're watching, not only do you want to dial up intuition in your life, please, I'm asking of you, dial up affection.
Yes.
Be affectionate with people. Give them a kiss, give them a hug. And when you feel the desire to say, thank you, I'm sorry, I love you, or how could I help you? When you feel those urges, do not veto them. They are divine.
Do it.
They come from a beautiful place. So we hug all the time, but man, no hug was like this hug. Because this hug was the hug of, my God, we're alive.
Yeah.
And we looked at this twisted metal, and while he's still in my arms, I said, Greg, we need to get away from here right now. Now, conventional wisdom would say, be still. You're injured. You're bleeding badly. It's warmer inside the car than out. But there was a knowingness, Gina, a whisper that said, this isn't over. Because it was not pilot error that produced this impact. It was gravity.
Yeah.
Loss of control. And I was only doing 8 miles per hour when I lost control. So it stands to reason that one of the next few people coming over the hill could also lose control of their car. Now, mind you, there had not been any other cars. No other cars came over the hill at that point. But about 30 seconds after impact, we are already out of the car. We are hugging. And I got this notion, and my son knows about the whisper. So he knows if either one of us get a feeling or a whisper, an intuition, we're going to act on it. That's what we do. So he immediately said, okay. We began to pull away from the accident, walking away, and here comes the next set of headlights. The first car that has passed by since, only it's not a car, it's another big rig, a huge truck, which also loses control and comes barreling down the hill and goes right up my backside and turns my car into a postage stamp.
No way.
So there was a knowingness that said, basically right after the accident, that said, hey, this isn't over yet. Get out.
Move.
And if we had stayed in that car, we may have survived the initial impact, but we would have been killed by that second truck.
Absolutely. Wow.
And so, and it wasn't subtle. I didn't stop and evaluate it. It was just get out of the car. And we acted on it. The other one was, and it's a much shorter story. I was in a late night restaurant and I told my friend that I know when danger is near. This is part of my gift of intuition. And it may never come up when we're together, but please know, if I get a warning when we're together, I'm going to make you a promise. I will not be joking. So if I tell you I'm feeling something, please trust me. And he said, okay. Well, 5 years went by without an incident. And then we were dining. I'm a night owl, so we were up late at night. And we were in this restaurant, and we were up to the counter getting ready to order. There were a surprising number of people there. It was about almost 20 people in the restaurant at 3 a.m. and little hamburger joint. And so we ordered, or we were getting ready to order, and all of a sudden, something from behind me. And again, none of these stories are embellished. I haven't sat down and rewritten them because it'll sound better if I tell it this way. This is what happened. Something from behind. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. I felt it. And this is what intuition is. Intuition is not something you see. It's not something you hear. It is something you feel.
And you know.
When you act on what you feel, here's what's going to happen. You're going to hear it next, and then you're going to see it.
Yeah.
That's the way it works, but you're going to feel it first. So I felt it, and it was from behind me. The whole room had changed. And when I spun around, I identified its source. It was a man who was just coming into the building. And Gina, I don't know any other way to say this, but here was the difference. He was operating on a different bandwidth, on a different frequency, meaning that everybody else had a commonality to their intention. Yeah. We've heard a lot in New Age thought about intention, the power of intention. Wayne Dyer, very big, and huge. A huge loss to this world.
Absolutely.
Wayne died. I'm so grateful for his legacy because Dr. Dyer was an amazingly evolved spirit. Well, when I felt this, I spun around and I looked, and here was the difference in terms of intention. Everyone else in that restaurant who was there as a customer, they were there to eat. Here's what I want to say about that man. He was not there to eat. He was running an entirely different intention. And it was a bad one. It was a scary one. And my intuitive center, my whisper center, immediately caught that, spun, identified it, turned to my partner, grabbed him by the wrist and said, Pat, we need to get out of here right now. In a very, very subtle, I didn't say, Pat, we got to go. It wasn't panic. I just looked and said, we need to get out of the building right now. And I watched him go through the, the gears of, this is the thing. This is the thing you talked to me about many years ago. And I just looked at him and went,
no.
That was it. It was just a nod. We left, got to the door, and all he wanted to know, geez, I moved so close to the camera. Sorry about that.
No, it's good. I was drawn.
Got my enthusiasm. I just looked up and realized I was eating the camera.
Tell me.
So I said to Pat, he said to me as we're leaving the building, physically walking out the glass door, he said, buddy, I don't mind leaving, but just tell me what it is, we'll leave. And I said, do not stare. But right now, the gentleman to my left in the green jacket, and I never got to finish the sentence because that man, he had a ball cap on. And that's it. He wasn't dressed suspiciously. He didn't look like a creep. But the moment I started that sentence, the ball cap came up, a ski mask came down, and a 45 pointed right to the head of the attendant. And here's what I want to tell you. I had a billboard, like a flashing billboard level warning that said, you have trouble right behind you.
Yeah.
Why is this an important interview? Here's why. I do not have a gift that you, the viewer, also don't have. You have. You have it. Gina has it. Every one of us has it. We just have it under clutter and denial.
Yeah.
And we have had our most precious and sacred gifts domesticated right out of us in this life. And it is a choice to reverse that trend. You mentioned to me earlier the idea of a call to action when we were talking earlier today. The call to action is to know that you've got a lot of buried treasure, a lot within you, that when you scoop away the garbage that stands between your current version of you and what it might be, your life will change, and I'm going to use one of your words, massively.
Massively.
Massively. So if you just get that away and understand that there are many things you know, and you've been spending your whole life acting as if you didn't.
Yeah.
It's not the truth. The truth is we are a miraculous, unrepeatable source of light. All of us are that. And we are equipped to do magnificent things or not. And it's our choice entirely.
Absolutely.
And so that's really that story. So that's two. I'm not going to go into the third, but both of those, by the way, he made everyone in the restaurant. He didn't just hold up the restaurant's register. He made everyone in that building lay down on the ground and made them fear for their lives and robbed everybody.
And did you leave? Had you gone?
And two people got away from the building and did not have to go through that.
Wow.
Now, I also believe that we may have saved lives because he had to deal with the fact that two eyewitnesses were running down the street, which made him need to hurry up, right? It changed things.
Yeah.
And we got to the gas station about a block away, and I was running in a zigzag pattern because in the U.S., they like to shoot you a lot. And you're in a much friendlier country. But something told me, my intuition said also run in a zigzag pattern. Don't give him a straight target to shoot at. If he comes out of the building and decides he wants to shoot you. And so we got to the gas station, and my buddy dropped to his knees, my buddy Pat. And again, I'm not building a story here. It was beautiful. He turned to me and I looked, and Gina, he was bawling.
Oh.
He was bawling, tears, just pouring out like this. I remember his face. He looked over at me and he said, "How did you know? How did you know?"
You were
it messed him up, but in a good way.
Yeah.
He's like, there was nothing to see, Glenn. And you told me with certainty, we got to get out now. No noise had been made. No words had been said. There was nothing to see. The warning was total instinct and intuition, complete. And I said, so the only thing that differs is I trust it way more than the average person. You change your level of regard for it, it can turn around and begin to bless your life. There's the story.
If anybody out there was ever in doubt on the power of aligning yourself and tuning into that intuition and listening to those whispers, honestly, there's no better way to say it than you just did, Glenn. That was incredibly beautiful. And
Thank
I know
you.
Thousands of people out there are now going to be thinking, okay, there is more to this than I thought. And I'm hoping with all my might that they tune in and they're able to do what you do, what I do, which is tuning in, listening to those whispers, listening to the guidance that we're given, because it's there for a reason. It's incredibly powerful.
Anyway, I know you didn't expect to hear me say that, but I did.
No, that's all right.
And I think that people are at this point have heard enough from me. I love you all, whether I've met you or not. I'm honored, Gina, that you asked me to come be with you. I love that, this is my first Skype type interview. And I love that you're over there in the UK, and I need to let you go to bed because it's late.
Oh, no. It's fine. But listen, you can tell how just fantastic Glenn is to speak to. And he's always interested in looking for speaking at events. So if you're looking for a speaker at any of your events, I'm going to give you Glenn's email, but I'm also going to put it in the description in the box below so you can find out how to get in touch with him. So two things. First of all, if you're interested in having Glenn speak at your event, and second thing is, if you want to leave your thoughts on this conversation as well, if you want to communicate with Glenn, let him know what you thought about the conversation, then please do. Are you ready? This is his email. It is info, that's INFO, at Glenn Morshower, and Glenn has got 2 N's, .com. And as I said, I'll put that in the box below so you can access that after the conversation.
Gina, you might want to spell Morshower for them also.
Sure. Okay, I'll spell it all, shall I? So, info, INFO, at Glenn, which is GLENN, Morshower, which is MORSHOWER.
I love your dialect. It's so beautiful.
You just get
I've never heard my name more beautifully, said and pronounced than that.
I knew there was a reason behind that.
I love it.
I'm joking. So listen, Glenn, it has been so fantastic to get an insight into your world. And thank you for sharing so openly here with us. It's been really incredible to get lots of different thoughts on the whisper, intuition, alignment, and all the other wonderful things that we've chatted about. I know our viewers will have hugely resonated with what you shared. As I mentioned at the beginning, the summit is a celebration of my new course, which is called Discover Your Direction. And we touched upon that a little bit during the interview. We talked about the importance of having a mission statement and having a purpose and being aware of what that is. I'm going to be hosting a live webinar at the end of the summit to pull together all the learning from these fantastic conversations we've been having over the week, and also to look at discovering your direction. Details for the webinar are below, so make sure you join us for that conversation. It's going to be really exciting. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the Discover Your Direction course and where that came from. I recognise that the biggest stumbling block for people is that they aren't clear on where they're heading. As we've talked about, Glenn, they've got a fog over what it is that they want to do, and they often have the thought and feeling, is there more to life than this? Something that I see all the time. They're being guided every day, but they have lost touch with that guidance, that whisper, that intuition, and they're not quite sure how to check back in with it. They're making decisions that lead them down a path that they really don't want to go down, and they feel frustrated by knowing that they're here for something much bigger and something more meaningful. Yet they haven't figured out what it is. We all know that without a roadmap and without that clear direction, you're going to feel unfocused, overwhelmed, and out of control. And I say this because I've been there. I know how that feels. That's where my new course came from, that recognition that people are wanting to figure out what their purpose is and their reason for being here. They also want to gain clarity on their vision and their direction. But more importantly, they want to infuse all that with what they're passionate about. That is what the course is all about. I work with determined, strong, persistent, and confident women to gain clarity on their vision and to define their direction. We explore what you're passionate about and fuse those two together. Now, when we work together, I'll take you through a formula to define what it is that you want, both in your business and in your life. And then we create a toolkit for you to ensure that you're focused, you're productive, and you're taking steps to achieve what it is that you want. It's 6 sessions delivered over 3 months. We meet every 2 weeks because, in my experience, it takes a minimum of 3 months for you to be able to take something new and to put it into play to see some changes, to make it sustainable. So I ask you now, if we could work together and put you on the path to the outcome that you're looking for, which is to have that stronger purpose in your life, to understand where you're going, to feel that passion in what you're doing, and to have a plan to get there. If we can do that in 6 sessions to put you on that road, are you ready to begin to do that? If you are, click the link below for more information and to apply for the Discover Your Direction course. Loads of information on the link, so check it out, and we'll talk about it some more throughout the rest of the summit. So you'll find out a lot more about it. So let's finish off, Glenn. What message? I
want to caution you though, Gina.
Please.
There may be people that right before they press that button that you just encourage them to click, they may stop and go, now wait a minute. If I click this, am I going to start putting bologna in my undershorts?
No, only Glenn Morshower does that. It's official. So let's finish off then, Glenn. What message would you like to leave our viewers with around alignment and intuition and the whisper? What comes to mind for you?
You know what? I'm just going to calm down and in my softest voice, not the voice that is leaning forward, shouting into the computer camera, I'm going to just calmly say, if you've never experienced this before, or if you have experienced it and you've lost your way, a better word is to say misplaced, not lost. Because if it's lost, but misplaced your way, that you fall in love with your life all over again. If you've never had that happen, then fall in love with it for the first time. This is a relatively brief dance we have here, and that's even if you get the 100-year plan. It's but a blip on a radar screen. But while you're here, don't you have to know that there is a reason that you were empowered to outswim 600 million other candidates? Mustn't there have been a reason for that? That taught you that it was your nature to be a math defier and to do something special with the irreplaceable gift of time. That's what we have. It's the only asset we have that we wake up with less of every day.
Absolutely.
And that's neither a good thing nor a bad thing. It's just a true thing. So watch what happens if you recommit to the expression that your particular sack of skin has an opportunity to make, right? You're in a beautiful sack of skin that you can have express itself however you want it. And the heavens have bestowed you with a pen and a lot of blank pages. They're blank. They're not pre-written. So from this point forward, I don't know, did you guys have in the UK a thing called an Etch-a-Sketch?
Yes. Yeah.
You remember them? Okay, I didn't know if that was indigenous to the US or whatever.
No, we have them.
But I want everyone who knows what that red thing is with the two knobs on it that was made in the 50s or 60s, but they still have them today. And I want you to see your life on that screen. And if your life is beautiful, just as it is right now, then keep drawing. Just keep drawing. But if you're unhappy with your life, then I want you right now with me to take that screen on that Etch-a-Sketch and I want you to shake it, because that's all we did as kids. When we were done with what was ever on the screen. Whatever was on the screen, we didn't like it. We shook it and drew something new. Here's what we didn't do. We didn't run around and show everybody, this is awful. I don't like my life. This is terrible. We looked at it and went, that sucks. And we just shook it and got rid of it.
Exactly. Wow.
So we can do that. And that's my call to action for you, the viewer, is whatever you don't like. And the 12-step programs teach this. Take what works and leave the rest.
Yeah.
It's been in the 12-step program for years. It is great life advice. Not everything about everyone has to work. Just notice the gifts that are in everyone and use those to benefit from. And whatever about a person's personality don't work, just leave that behind. You don't need to hate them for it or judge them for it. Thank you for the gifts you have given me. Whoever you are, the good that was in you that I was able to benefit from, thank you for that. It has blessed my life. Fall in love with your life. It's crucial.
That is a beautiful way to end. Thank you so much, Glenn, for all your wisdom, your insights, and for sharing such wonderful teachings with us here. Hugely appreciated.
It's my extreme pleasure. My love to you, my dear friend.
And you.
Mwah.
Much love. So listen, we'll speak again soon. Thank you once again from me and from the viewers and from my mum. She's going to be watching the whole of this going, oh my word, oh my word. She's a huge fan.
Well, tell Mom to look forward to Supergirl, because it will be over there pretty soon.
I will. She'll be impressed that I know before it comes out. So
now, is this summit also available in the United States? Is it global?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay,
so
good.
I'll send you all the details so you've got access to everything.
Okay.
To send it out and what have you.
So anyone that's watching it here in the United States, they can tune in to Supergirl on Mondays on CBS. Brilliant. And starting November the 30th, this is for U.S. viewers.
What time?
November 30th is when I join the cast on the air that night.
Okay. Do you know what time it is?
It's 7 p.m. Central, so 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
Here in the United States.
Okay, and I'll put those details in the box below so everybody knows when it's on and when it's aired and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And your contact details as well. So if anybody wants to get in touch with Glenn, you've got his details. I highly recommend having a conversation with him. As you can see, hugely insightful, such good fun, and a real honour to speak to you. Thank you so much, Glenn, for all your time.
My pleasure, and I'll see you soon in the UK.
You will indeed. Bye for now.
Bye for now, honey.
Bye. Hi, it's Gina, checking in with you. I hope you not only enjoyed that conversation that we just had, but it also got you thinking about your life and the direction it is heading. The biggest stumbling block that I see over and over and over again is that people aren't clear on where they're heading. They don't know what it is that they want, and they get that feeling of, is there more to life than this? Without a clear direction, you will feel unfocused, overwhelmed, and out of control. I know because I've been there. Here's what I know about people. The odds say that most people will do the same thing next year as they did this year. If you're ready to have 2016 be different than 2015, what's holding you back? From my experience, it is you. You're the only thing holding yourself back, be it consciously or subconsciously. So let's talk about how we can work together. I work with determined, strong, persistent, and confident women to gain clarity on their vision and their purpose and to define their direction. Here are the benefits that I think you will take away when we work together. The Discover Your Direction course is 6 sessions over 3 months. We're going to meet every 2 weeks because in my experience it takes a minimum of 3 months for you to be able to take something new and begin to put it into place and to start to see some changes. When we work together, I will take you through a formula to define what it is that you want in your business and in your life. We'll delve into mastering those situations that knock you off your feet and off your path. We'll explore being more skillful at handling difficult situations. We'll gain clarity on your vision and where you're heading, as well as starting to uncover your purpose. And then we will create a toolkit for you to ensure that you're focused, you're productive, and you're taking steps to achieve what it is that you want. In those 6 sessions, I have a formula that we're going to follow. But listen, these are your calls. And so if we break that formula because that's where you need to go, then that's what we're going to do. And someplace around session 4, we're going to start to assess how you're feeling and what's going on, and to look at the changes that you're sensing, if not the changes that you've already begun to put into place. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in session 4 and session 5, and certainly in session 6. And if at the end of 6 sessions you don't even see a little glimmer of light, despite your best effort and the work that you've put in, I will give you your money back. So the worst thing that can happen is you spend a few hours with me and nothing changes. The best thing that happens is we spend a few hours together and you're on your way to where you want to go. If we could work together and put you on the path to the outcome that you're looking for, which is to have a stronger purpose in your life, to understand where you're going, and to have a plan to get you there. If we can do that in 6 sessions to put you on the road, are you ready to begin to do that? If you are, click the link in the box below to apply for the Discover Your Direction course. Go ahead, check it out, the link's there in the box, Discover Your Direction course, apply now, and I look forward to working with you. Bye for now.